Welcome, everyone. Today we're launching Booming Encore's Tweet Talk. This is a session where we're actually just going to talk about some of the topics that have been trending on Twitter for us. Today I'm joined by Mike Drak. Mike is the author of Victory Lap Retirement and also one of our ongoing contributors. And my name is Susan Williams and I'm the founder of Booming Encore. So welcome, Mike. Great to see you.
Good morning, Susan. These are interesting days, aren't they?
Oh, certainly are. So let's just dive right in, Mike. First topic I thought we could talk about is the fact that there's a lot of baby boomers out there that are just ignoring the advice to self-isolate. Specifically, Rolling Stone magazine did a survey, and what they found was that, or they actually cited a survey that baby boomers were least likely to worry about contracting the virus, with 43% saying they were concerned about it, as opposed to 53% of millennials and 54% of Gen X. And an ABC News reported that younger generations are more likely to quarantine themselves compared to baby boomers or older people. So what do you make of this? Why do you think this is happening?
Well, I think there's a number of things at work here. Number one, baby boomers, people like myself, they don't like to be told what to do. They reached a point where, they played by the rules, they did all the hard work, they met all their obligations, and now they just want to be free and do what they enjoy to do, which is a mistake in my mind, because they forget too that we're all in this together. So if you have kids and they're worried about you, well, if you get sick, guess who's going to have to step up to the plate? It's going to be your kids, and then you're putting them at risk. So it's more than just yourself in isolation. We all work together, we all fit together, and we have to be smart about it. But I know it's confusing because when this first broke, there was some bad information given. I think they kind of downplayed the risk of this virus, and it's a serious thing. And you have to take appropriate action. You have to reduce risk of you catching it. And you going out to a restaurant or going out to watch a play and then coming and expecting to meet your grandkids, well, guess what? It's not going to work.
I totally agree with you. I think we really need to break down the whole idea of this being a generation thing or whatever. This is a human thing. I mean, we are all human.
That's right.
We're all in this together. I think, quite honestly, anybody who's not taking these warnings seriously are really being extremely selfish. I mean, it's one thing to say, I read one article, it said, some guy said, I want to live my life the way I want to live it. And I'm like, okay, so that's fine. And I agree with you. However, then do not show up at the hospital. Do not plug our health system. Do not expect anybody to support it. You go home and I hate to use the most worst case, but you go home and you'd be sick by yourself and ultimately take that ultimate risk. So
I totally agree with you, Susan.
I think it's just like so, like I said, so selfish and so self-centered to think that this is just about you.
They have to be educated and they have to be told. And it's interesting to see the kids are trying to educate them to say, be safe, protect yourself, because we don't want to lose you either, right? But like I said before, we're all in this together and we have to work together and make sure we do the right things, right? But it's funny. We're going, instead of being independent, we're going back to that intergenerational kind of model where the families are all together. So you're worried about your grandkids, and your kids are worried about you, and it's bringing us closer together.
Yeah, and I think that's what we have to hold on to. I think the fact is, like you said, this is an opportunity to bring us together, not separate us. And so for those out there that are trying to, live independently or whatever, I think, they need to kind of wake up and say, no, we're all in this together. We all depend on each other to actually get through this. And now's the time to pull together. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, because you wrote a really interesting post that we just published on some of the lessons you may actually learn about retirement in this pandemic. Do you want to just kind of expand on what your thinking was there?
Well, I do a lot of research and writing on retirement. And then, one day when I was sitting at home isolated, I thought, you know what, this is a lot to do with retirement transition. Because you go through a ton of change when you retire. And many times you don't understand what change is coming your way, but there's all kinds of change. And, when I looked at the pandemic, I said, well, we're doing the same thing. One day we're living normal lives, and the next day everything's upside down. we're sitting at home. Maybe for the first couple of days it was fun, but then that fourth day hits and you go, I don't like this. I don't have any structure. I have no routine. I have no purpose. I don't know what to do. And watching like reruns on the TV back to back to back, well, it's not going to help me, right? And it's going to get frustrated. And maybe this is why some of the boomers do some silly things, because they get tired and they get frustrated. And that's just like retirement once you get through the honeymoon period. And that's why it has to be well thought out. And even during these days, we have to create new structures for ourselves, new routines, go outside, if you're in an area where you can, right? Where there's not a high concentration of people, go for walks, get healthy, work out, eat properly, and think clearly, and do a lot of thinking that, deep thinking, I call it, what's right? What do I need to do? What will make me happy? Maybe ways of improving yourself. Like me, I'm terrible with technology. So now I can spend some time trying to learn new things, that I've always put off because I've been too busy. Right? But
yeah, I think those are some excellent points, Mike. I also wrote a post, I guess it is on the website, on I after doing a little bit of deep thinking and reflection myself on be careful for what you wish for, because
right.
as much as this situation is definitely, and I don't want to at all distract from the fact that this is a very stressful time, or it is also a very dangerous time for people. But at the same time, what should we possibly be learning from it? And so one of the phrases that struck me was "be careful for what you wish for." That old saying, "Be careful what you wish for, you may just get it." So for instance, I think about all the people that said, I wish I could spend more time with my family, or I wish I could, do something for the environment. And then we all saw what happened, related to the Chinese industry shutdown, and how that's actually helped air pollution, or how the canals in Venice have cleared up because of the lack of boat traffic now. Or I wish I didn't have to commute. I mean, and it's teaching us new ways to actually work and engage with each other without having to actually physically be there. So my hope is that out of all of this, we will actually get some really good lessons that will continue on, that sense of community. I wish I knew my neighbors. I mean, you're seeing people meet each other for the first time who've been neighbors for years. As
not too close, Susan, not too close.
Absolutely. No, but I meant like for instance, the examples of people on their balconies. How many people in that apartment building didn't actually know who possibly their neighbor was, but through the balcony, and of course that safe distance, they started to actually, meet each other, which is I think some of the positives, if you're trying to find sort of a silver lining out of all this.
It's important, but it really makes you think about a lot of different things. Like I'm so grateful I don't live downtown in a condo. I live out, in Richmond Hill, and I can go outside and walk, and, we have, trees and walkways and things like that aren't busy. So you need that. And you do so much thinking and pondering about things. And, that's where I see these parallels so much. Like, all of a sudden we're sitting there and you're trying to say, well, how can I be productive? What can I do? And this happens many times during transition when maybe you suffer some retirement shock, right? And you're going, okay, how can I pull myself out of this? Because I'm starting to feel sorry for myself. What can I do? Maybe I should do my tax return now instead of thinking about it all the time and moaning, right? Get that out of the way. Do the small things and start working together. But it's so interesting. And it reminds me one thing about retirement is that, if you and your wife are both working, now you're at home together and it's just the two of you. And it's a big change because it's more together time. And that's what happens in retirement. And so then you have to say, okay, how can we make this work? Like, how can we make sure that, we're not irritating each other, and how can we work together and, accomplish things? So there's a lot of testing here, and I find it fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully, like we said, we'll get through this together and possibly come out stronger as a result. Okay, so let's change topics completely. There was an interesting article on Business Insider. Thought this might be a little bit fun on different slang that generations are using. So I'm going to give you the word that younger generations are using, and you try and tell me what you think it actually means in an older slang word, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. Fire.
Fire?
Fire. That's really fire.
Shoot.
No, groovy. It means that that's really hip.
No, I'm not very good at this game.
Okay, let's try the next one. Okay, here's one. You probably get this one. Salty.
Salty. Cranky.
Pretty close. It's actually like ticked off, so that's not bad. Okay, how about this one? I don't know about this one. I don't think you get this one. They're really what was it? They spilled the tea.
They spilt the tea?
Yeah.
You know what? I must be in a different world. You know, for me, it would be they spilt the beer.
Okay.
And my response would be clean it up.
Well, close. It's almost like they say the language that we would have used is the skinny, so it's sort of the gossip, you know, when someone's talking about something. So they spilled the tea. So there you go. There's what you learned for today. So
wow. You gave me more things to think of.
okay. Well, thanks for your time, Mike. Always great chatting with you.
Thanks, Susan. You take care. Have a great day.
Okay, and to everybody out there, if you're interested in these topics, please check out our Twitter feed, as well as join us on YouTube, where this video will be posted, of course, and Facebook. And hope to see you again soon. Bye for now, everyone.